Hi there, I'm Amanda Tennant with amandascorner.com. Today I'm on the Pilates Reformer and I'm going to be teaching and demonstrating short spine. So short spine is one of my favorite exercises for releasing the back body. So if you or a client has sore or tight hamstrings or a bum, external rotators like piriformis, low back, SI joint, then this truly is one of my favorite exercises. I have a separate video filled with all of my favorite reformer exercises for a sore low back, and short spine is definitely in there. I will post a link to that video if you're interested in checking it out. But it's one that I always do if I'm feeling uncomfortable in my low back. So I introduce short spine to new clients fairly early on. It's one I kind of get them going with pretty quickly after they're getting on the equipment and kind of getting comfortable with the basics. But I like to build up to it. And so I always teach them frogs, low frogs, as well as straight leg stretches, which is sometimes called hamstring arcs. I teach those, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with those exercises, but I will show them to you briefly and show you why I like to use those to build up to short spine. So there's a couple of ways to advance short spine. As you use less resistance, lighter springs, fewer springs, both, then you start to demand a bit more of your muscle power to do this exercise properly. So you're drawing a lot more core, you're going to draw on the thighs, you're going to draw on the bum. And as you have heavier support, you get a little bit more help with this exercise. So it really can be appropriate and a good challenge for a new student versus a fairly advanced student. So I'm going to show you, that's one way, is playing with the springs. And I'm going to show you another way. For a new student, you can kind of really allow the machine to kind of give you, I hate to say a free ride, but the machine almost gives you a little bit of a ride. It gives you a lot of support. I'll show you what that looks like, and then I'm going to show you how you can have your client, or how, if you're on the equipment yourself, how you can perform it to really draw in a lot more strength and demand from your muscles. So hopefully you'll be able to see the difference. Okay, I'm on just a heavy spring. When I have somebody starting out with this, I usually have them start with more support than that, usually a medium and a light, and then maybe we move to a heavy, maybe we move to a medium, etc., etc. So we're going to come down. We're going to lie down safely. I like to have clients roll down through the spine if that is safe for them and they're able to do that. When you're going into short spine, since we'll be lifting up, you want to make sure your headrest is flat. So that's important for safety. We want to make sure we're not putting any undue pressure or strain on the neck. So we're going to press out and step the feet up into the loops, getting them comfortable and even on your feet. So quickly, coming down into low frog, I start in my neutral. I've got a small Pilates style stance V in the feet. Heels are glued together. I exhale to press out, and I inhale to draw down and in. My knees stay in line with my shoulders. I keep all 10 toes nice and flush. They're straight across here. So I have them come through low frogs first. Then I have them press out. We keep this small V in the feet. For straight leg stretches, we come up just to a point where we find a stretch without flattening the back. And we press forward as we breathe in. We come up and stretch as we breathe out. So I have them come through this, making sure they're really controlled and steady through the pelvis. So from there, we come back down to low frog, and that's where we add into our short spine. I have them exhale, press up and out. Inhale, they come into basically a straight leg stretch, but now we allow the back to flatten and we let the bum lift into the air, and we send the legs back over the face. I still have a small V in the feet. I'm going to let the knees drop towards my shoulders so I can peekaboo right between my knees here. I can see the ceiling. And then I want to keep the feet, the energy of the feet and heels really light, and I let my sit bones drop and get heavy. And this is where I get that great release I was talking to you about down through the whole back line of the body here. And then with a tight stomach, I'm going to roll down through the spine, pull my heels back around like a hamstring curl, and come back down into low frog. Okay, so I'm going to do this a couple of times a bit more fluidly, and then I'm going to tell you about some of the things that I commonly see, things that go awry, things that help. So exhaling out, inhale up and over. We let the knees drop down. We let the hips settle down. I like to pause here because that's where I get a release, and then melting down. So one more time. Exhale, press up and out. Inhale, back up and over. Nice tight belly here. Use the thighs and the bum. Let the knees settle down. Let the hips get heavy and melt down. So a couple of things. When people first start doing this, and sometimes even clients that have been doing it for a while, they press out and then they are so focused on sitting feet up to the ceiling that they get stuck. You want to take this and keep it really fluid. You want to take it until the carriage comes all the way into the stopper. So I'll show you what I mean. People come up here and they're stuck. My carriage is never going to come in. So I cue people, what seems to help, I cue people to think about sending your legs back over your face rather than up to the sky. So as the legs are drawing back over my face, my carriage now comes all the way in, and it's controlled. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to see a big bounce. I don't want to hear a lot of noise. It's just going to be very fluid back up over my face. From this point, we drop the knees. Some people literally don't have anywhere to drop from here. They're very tight. They might be shaking here, and they're kind of stuck. Something that I like to do for those people as well as for everybody else is assist them in a stretch here. A lot of individuals have a difficult time with this concept of keeping the feet light and letting the hips get heavy. So some different things that I do. First of all, I tell them to imagine that the energy of their feet is light, the energy of their hips is sinking down to the earth. So I want them to try to make as much space and distance from each heel to each sit bone that they possibly can. So different cues like that can help them to really allow their body to let go and to figure out where things are supposed to be. Another thing I often do is do a manual stretch here for people. So this is easier to demonstrate on somebody else. I come around and I bring one hand on their heel, which also just that tactile cue helps to remind them that they don't want to pull those heels down. They want them lifted. And I bring the heel of my other hand so they don't feel like they're being molested or groped. You want to do this professionally. I come right onto their sit bone and I push down on the sit bone, and that gives a nice long release. And I have them just hold and breathe. Then we roll back down and in. So let's talk about advancing this using more muscle versus using the help and the assistance of the machine. So I'll show you using the machine first. As I press out, so if I have a new student here, I can just come into my straight leg stretch and I can wait until the machine lifts me. I'm holding my tummy tight, but I am not using a whole lot of muscles here. I'm coming down, dropping, and coming around. If I want to make this tougher after I press out, I can squeeze and cinch together, zip together my belly, thighs, buns, everything, and I try to lift myself before the machine lifts me. So the most advanced would be to lift from out here. So immediately I start pulling up. I don't know if you can see that, but that was a lot more work for me. And then coming down and around. I still want to keep it nice and fluid and smooth. So here is letting the machine pull me. It's like la-di-da, but for a new client, this is plenty of work. And let them drop and come down. For a more advanced student, they squeeze and lift from here. So in addition to lightening the weight of the springs, that's one way you can use your body to make this tougher. Okay, one more version that I really like to do is a straddle version. So it begins the same way. You exhale up and out. You inhale back over to your shoulder stand. There's no weight on my neck here. I keep my legs turned out. So I am externally rotated from my hips down out through my toes, and I straddle from here. So the idea is that I stay lifted through my torso as long as possible while my legs circle around. So at some point, I am going to need to roll down through my spine. So I just allow that to happen very organically. I come back down into neutral, and now that's a lot of thigh work. I finish with an exhale, and I go right back up and over with my inhale. I encourage my clients to take as many breaths and as much time as they need to circle. I want this to be almost excruciatingly slow and controlled, so lots of strength. This would not necessarily be appropriate for a brand new student, but it is a really nice version. It adds in quite a bit more inner thigh work, as well as just really lubricating and opening up through the hips, rotating down and around. Last one here, exhale it together, and we'll release from there. So that is a few variations of short spine. Again, when I have a new client begin this series, I start by teaching them frogs and straight leg stretches, and then just really building from there, using enough spring resistance and support and guidance from the machine to kind of help them up and over into that shoulder stand position. This exercise may be one of the first ones that I give them where they start to come into an inverted position. And when we begin to invert the body, especially with a new method of exercise, it can be a little disarming for clients. They can get kind of confused kinesthetically and proprioceptively where things are supposed to be, what's supposed to be working. And this is a really gentle way to kind of start introducing those inverted postures. So if you have any questions or comments, then feel free to shoot me an email at amandascorner, CORENER, @charter.net, and I look forward to hearing from you. If you enjoyed this video, or if you are familiar with some of my other videos, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I appreciate your support. Thanks. Bye-bye.